Hi everyone, I'm back with another card featuring a background stamp and some watercoloring. This technique was inspired by a lesson taught over at online card classes. So to start, I'm going to prep my Ranger watercolor paper with my EK Success powder tool and make sure I get powder to cover the entire front of the card. Next, I'm going to grab a sheet of scratch paper and my large background stamp. I'm using this clover shape design here from Inkadinkado. I'm going to grab my Versamark ink and just press that all over my stamp here. My stamp pad is a little drier than I would like it to be, so I really have to press down and make sure that I don't miss any spots on the stamp because I want the best coverage possible on my entire card front. Then I'm going to lay the watercolor paper, which is smooth side down. This Ranger paper has a rough side and a smooth side, and today I'm using the smooth side. So I'm going to use my scratch paper here to catch any excess ink that may be on the edges of the card, and I'll press down all over the front just to make sure I get the best impression possible. Now my piece is stamped and it's difficult to see because it is a clear ink, but it's there and you can see it more in person. I'm going to sprinkle on my white linen embossing powder here, and as I shake off the excess you'll be able to see the design a little bit, not much because it is white on white. As I begin to watercolor you'll see the image even better. So here I'm going to shake off any excess powder, which I do have quite a bit, and get it all over the front of my card and tap off the remaining extra that might be on the card. Next, I'm going to grab my heat gun and get it to heat up a little bit here before I hit my card. Because I am heating the entire front of the card, my paper might warp just a little bit, so I'm trying to keep the gun a bit further away from the paper so it doesn't bend too much as I'm heating up the embossing powder. As I'm finishing, you'll see here that it's nice and glossy and you can see the clovers just a bit. As I watercolor, you'll be able to see them even better. Now I'm using my Yasutomo watercolors. These watercolors are pearly and have a sheen when they're activated with water, but otherwise they're really dry and actually quite hard in texture, so they do need a lot of water in order to get them activated and started. So here you'll see that I'm trying to get a bit of color out of the palette, and then I'm adding a good amount of water in order to get the color flowing here. Then I'm going to paint it onto my image. And as you can see, because I embossed the piece, the watercolor only sticks to the actual watercolor paper and the embossing resists any ink. That's why you can see the image even better than white on white, essentially. So here I'm spreading on some of the red, and then I'm going to switch to other shades of colors of the rainbow. So basically I started with red, and then I worked my way to orange. And again, it takes a bit of water to get activated, so I sped up the process here to make it a little quicker. But then I went to orange. After orange, I grabbed a shade of yellow. And after yellow, I did green. And after green, I had blue. And after blue, I ended with purple. As you can see, the ink is resisting pretty well. I'll zoom in a minute here and show you a closer image of what it looks like. But I'm just finishing up with my blue and my purple. And then I'm going to add even more water to the card to get the ink flowing between each color a little better. I wanted the transitions to be a little less stark. And so I added some more water here. You'll see it pooling, which is fine. As I tap the edge of the paper down, the extra ink will come off, and I'll just clean that off. Now I'm going in with an even smaller brush and grabbing some more of the individual colors and highlighting each clover of the stamps. So I'm going in on each row and I'm coloring in the color that's designated to that block of the paper. So I started with red, now I'm on orange and coloring in each clover in orange. Then I'll go through on the other colors and do the same. Here's a close-up of what it looks like. As you can see, it is pretty cool how the background is a lighter shade and then each clover is darker, darker and more refined, I should say. So here I'm using Simon Says stamp sentiment. This one is about blessings and friendship, so I thought it was perfect for a rainbow themed card, just something happy. So I stamped the sentiment, and then I stamped a heart that's also in the stamp set. And I ended up coloring in the heart with just a regular marker. And then I rounded all four corners of my card base. The blue is going to be an inset, and then my watercolor piece I rounded the corners on as well. For my sentiment, I rounded two different corners, but I didn't hit the other two. You'll see why in a second here. Next, I added some tape runner adhesive to the back of my teal blue card here, and I'm just going to press that down directly to my card base. And then to add some detail to the card, I'm going to grab a black marker, and I'm going to use the edge of the blue piece here to guide me in drawing a line around the entire, all four sides of my card base. So I feel like this will give my card great detail in that now I have something that goes and matches my sentiment. Because I used black ink as my sentiment, I felt like I was missing a bit of black or something darker on my card since everything else is so bright. So once I did that, I used some foam adhesive and adhered the watercolor piece down to my card. And then I worked on my sentiment. I felt like it was a little too plain compared to the rest of the card because it is a bit busier. So I added a few elements of detail to my sentiment. The first thing I did was draw a line that came straight out of the top of the heart, and then one that comes down to the bottom. I liked it, the sentiment, but I felt like it needed something else. So in addition to those lines, I also drew on the edges of the sentiment. So here you'll see that I'm trying to make my hand as steady as possible, and it's okay if it looks a little sketched. That's kind of the look I was going for anyway. So I'm drawing this line on the top, and now I'm working on the bottom, and then I'm going to connect it here on the side. So as I'm finishing up, you'll notice that previously I said I only rounded two corners of this piece, and here's why. I wanted to have it hang off the one edge of my card, which is a straight side. So it would look a little weird if I had it curved. So here you'll see two different versions of the card that I have. The one in front, I used a little bit thicker of a black line as I was drawing around the edges, and I feel like it looks more like a journal or a sketchbook, so I thought that was interesting. And when you use a thinner line, it looks a little more sophisticated and a little simpler, I would think. Overall, both look great because they are iridescent as far as the watercoloring goes, and they're super bright in person. The photo truly doesn't do it justice. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching, and check out my blog at joliesamuel.com. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button here at YouTube so you can get future projects and videos of further cards and other fun stuff. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys next time. Bye!